Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button if you guys are enjoying the content that we're throwing up. And make sure you guys hit the like button if you enjoy the video. And yeah, let's begin. The origin of the cultural phenomenon that was Batman the Animated Series can be traced back to a production meeting held at Warner Brothers Studios sometime in 1990, which was led by President of Animation Jean McCurdy. McCurdy was in the beginning stages of her second tenure at Warner Brothers, having worked as a vice president there in the early 1980s before leaving for Hanna-Barbera, where she oversaw the production of successful shows such as The Smurfs and The Flintstone Kids. After being rehired by Warner Brothers in 1989, she set about developing original animated content for television, bringing with her several members of the team she'd worked with at Hanna-Barbera, including writer Paul Dini. The first project McCurdy and Dini had worked on was Tiny Toon Adventures, a series produced by legendary filmmaker Steven Spielberg, which focused on a new generation of characters inspired by classic Looney Tunes. During this production meeting, McCurdy revealed some of the properties Warner Brothers was interested in developing into possible television shows. Among these properties was Batman, who was enjoying a renewed popularity thanks to the success of the 1989 Tim Burton directed Batman film.
I'm Batman.
The idea of working on an animated Batman series caught the attention of artist Bruce Timm, who was also present at the production meeting. Timm had a lengthy resume as an artist and animator, having previously worked on He-Man and the Masters of the Universe for Filmation and The Real Ghostbusters for DIC Entertainment. Timm immediately went to work developing character models for a potential Batman series, and when he presented his designs to McCurdy the next meeting, she gave an enthusiastic stamp of approval and put Timm to work on creating a Batman animated short, along with background painter Eric Radomski. Timm and Radomski developed a minute-and-a-half-long short that depicted Batman thwarting an attempted jewelry robbery and featured a cameo appearance by Commissioner Jim Gordon. McCurdy was so impressed with the short that she put Timm and Radomski in charge of developing an entire series featuring the distinct, simplistic animation style. In doing so, Bruce Timm set out to create an entire series that would differ from the rest of the cartoons in production at the time, and that it would appeal to not only children, but to adults as well. To do this, an entire team of like-minded creators needed to be assembled, and so another former Hanna-Barbera writer and producer, Alan Burnett, joined the Batman creative team. Burnett had worked with DC superheroes before as a writer on Super Friends, and had also written 50 episodes of The Smurfs and worked on many of DC's animated series in the 1990s before coming to Warner Brothers. Initially, Burnett had no interest in working on Batman because he'd been frustrated with the strict standards and practices that controlled cartoon programming. However, after seeing the short that Timm and Radomski had created, he became convinced that the Batman series would be a faithful adaptation to the character and agreed to go on board. Also joining the team was writer Paul Dini, who'd worked with Timm on Tiny Toons. Dini had tried unsuccessfully to break into comic book writing in the past and was eager to get to work on the Batman project. And so one of the first things that Timm, Burnett, and Dini did, along with writer Mitch Bryan, was develop a show Bible, or a blueprint for the narrative and aesthetic vision of the show that would guide the production of future episodes. For his part, Dini drew inspiration from seminal Batman works such as Frank Miller's Batman Year One and Alan Moore's The Killing Joke. Burnett was also committed to keeping the show true to the essence of the Batman mythos, while at the same time being fun for kids to watch, which also meant leaving out aliens and ghosts and avoiding heavy social issues. The team soon added Shirley Walker, a composer who'd worked on the 1989 Batman film, to score each episode of the series, a practice that was practically unheard of among animated series at the time. And so as casting began, over 120 actors chosen from a pool of 500 submitted recordings were auditioned. Voice director Andrea Romano had narrowed the pool down to 4 actors, but none of them quite captured what she was looking for. She asked her roommate, a casting director, if he knew any actors that would be good for the role, and he suggested a Juilliard-educated stage and soap opera actor named Kevin Conroy. Although Conroy had never done any voice acting up to that point, Romano had brought him in for an audition and was blown away by Conroy's work. Bruce Timm was also impressed, citing the distinct voices Conroy had created for both Batman and Bruce Wayne as one of the factors that led to his selection for the role.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
And so once the team had found their Batman, the next task was finding the right voice for Batman's arch-nemesis, the Joker. According to Bruce Timm, the vast majority of the applicants tried to emulate Cesar Romero's portrayal in the 1966 Batman television series starring Adam West, which was not what the showrunners had in mind for the primary villain. Eventually, the team settled on Tim Curry, who was an experienced voice and film actor, but after recording a few episodes, they realized that Curry did not fit their vision, and they began to consider recasting. At the same time the team was weighing Curry's future for the show, Warner Brothers was contacted by an agent representing Mark Hamill. Hamill, who was a huge fan of Batman, was interested in working on the show, and Romano created a small guest role for him in one of the episodes. where Hamill recorded the episode, he'd also made it known that what he intended was to become a permanent member of the cast. Shortly thereafter, Hamill was offered the chance to audition for the role of the Joker, but he initially shied away from playing such an iconic role and expressed a desire to play one of Batman's second-tier villains such as Two-Face or Clayface. Hamill also thought that audiences would not buy into the idea that the actor who portrayed one of the best and known loved heroes in film was now playing a supervillain. However, figuring that he had little chance to actually land the role of the Joker, Hamill relented and auditioned.
Kinda slow on the reflexes, eh, Batsy? That car crash must have taken more out of you than I thought.
According to writer Paul Dini, as soon as Hamill performed the Joker's laugh, which captured the cruelty, humor, and sadness of his character, he knew that they'd found the actor that was perfect for the role, and the decision was made to replace Curry with Hamill. And so following this, other voice actors will be added to the cast, including future Hellboy star Ron Perlman as Clayface and Kate Mulgrew as Red Claw. The first episode of Batman the Animated Series aired on the Fox network block of children's programming called Fox Kids on September 5th of 1992 and aired in the 4:30 p.m. time slot on weekdays. 3 months later, Fox also began running the show in prime time on Sunday evenings, but removed it from this time slot in March of 1993 as it failed to garner the ratings they'd hoped for. Not only was the show one of Fox's most popular animated offerings among viewers, but it's still widely regarded as the best adaptation of Batman in any medium. The animation series contributed greatly to the overall mythos of Batman in several ways. For example, Episode 3, titled Heart of Ice, focused on the villain Mr. Freeze, who was considered a lower-tier member of Batman's rogues gallery at the time. Writer Paul Dini decided to expand on Freeze's origin by introducing Nora, the wife of Mr. Freeze, who became terminally ill and who'd been placed in a cryogenic chamber while he searched for a cure to her condition. Mr. Freeze's boss shuts down Freeze's research, which effectively ends any shot at survival for Nora. After Freeze tries to exact revenge on his boss, he's eventually captured and taken to Arkham Asylum, and the episode ends with Freeze staring at a music box belonging to his wife and apologizing for failing her. Not only did Heart of Ice lend a great deal of gravitas to an otherwise largely forgotten character, but it also won an Emmy for outstanding writing in an animated program and was selected as the best episode of the series by Wizard magazine in 2005. In truth, the biggest contribution of the animated series to Batman's mythos came in Episode 7, titled Joker's Favor, which introduced a brand new villain to Batman's rogues gallery in the form of Harley Quinn. Harley's character was originally intended to be a one-off cameo appearance, as the showrunners wanted to include a scene where someone jumped out of a cake and captured a group of police officers. Feeling the Joker doing this would be out of character, they created a female sidekick. However, both the creative team and fans fell in love with Harley due to her compelling aesthetic and the performance of actress Arlene Sorkin, meaning that her character would be expanded in subsequent episodes and eventually incorporated into DC Comics proper. The first season of Batman the Animated Series contained 65 episodes and became a success in terms of both critical response and ratings. On March 3, 1994, a second season premiered featuring 20 episodes, and Fox later made the decision to stop airing the show every weekday afternoon and instead air it once per week as part of their Saturday morning program. The second season featured Batman's sidekick Robin more prominently than the first, and was subsequently retitled The Adventures of Batman and Robin. On September 15, 1995, the series completed its original run with 85 episodes in total, and most of the creative team began working on their next project, Superman the Animated Series. In 1997, the contract granting Fox exclusive rights to the show expired, and Warner Bros. Approached Bruce Timm in making more episodes of Batman to run alongside Superman on Warner Bros.' own network, the WB. Both Timm and Warner executives wanted to give the show, now titled The New Batman Adventures, a new feeling, and Warner Bros. Was specifically focused on increasing the show's appeal among young audiences. Timm's approach to the network's objective was to modify the look of the show to be more simplified and angular, and adding more of Batman's supporting cast such as Batgirl and Nightwing into every episode. This iteration of the show ran for 24 episodes between September 13, 1997 and January 16, 1999, before being replaced by Batman Beyond, which focused on an older Bruce Wayne mentoring a new Batman named Terry McGinnis. In addition to being a critical success and a ratings smash on television, Batman the Animated Series expanded into other media as well. On Christmas Day 1993, Warner Bros. Released a full-length animated feature titled Batman Mask of the Phantasm into theaters. Mask of the Phantasm is considered by many fans to be one of the best Batman movies to date, but it was not a success at the box office, earning $6 million, just $400,000 over its $5.6 million budget. The animated series also spawned a comic book tie-in, The Batman Adventures, which ran for a number of years. In addition to these endeavors, Batman the Animated Series also served as a foundation and launching point for an entire connected universe of animated shows, including Superman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, Justice League, and Justice League Unlimited. Perhaps the best indication of the legacy of Batman the Animated Series lies not in its vast influence, phenomenal critical reception, or the 2 Emmy Awards it garnered, but in the fact that 25 years after the end of its original run, Batman the Animated Series continues to set the benchmark for animated adaptations of comic book properties among fans who still adore the show well into their adulthood.